movie audiences first saw Robert Duvall on film 20 years ago in To Kill a Mockingbird as Boo Radley. 30 films later, Vincent Canby wrote in the New York Times, "It's about time to recognize Robert Duvall as one of the most resourceful, most technically proficient, most remarkable actors in America today. I think he may well be the best we have, the American Olivier." And we'll be right back with Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall is with us. We've been talking about film, actors, stage. I was mentioning specific titles to you and asking or saying things about, I suppose it really goes back to the times when studios like MGM or Columbia or Paramount really were machines and everything got done. And now when you put your money and your belief into something like Angelo, My Love, and you want it to work and you want it to succeed, there's a whole new kind of distribution exhibition pattern now where things are happening. And I mentioned to you that in a conversation with John Voight once, I had brought up The Revolutionary. And John, because the two of you worked in it together, and John Voight said with surprise, "Oh, you saw that?" Yeah. And it always surprises me when an actor registers surprise that you've seen something that is ostensibly a failure.
Yes.
You know, you feel justifiably that people have never seen Tomorrow. And of course they haven't, because it wasn't distributed the way it might have been.
I don't care if they saw D.B. Cooper, but I do care that maybe they didn't see Tomorrow. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
You know, another performance of yours that's just a knockout. The work you did for Sidney Lumet in Network.
Oh.
And that cast and that group of people,
yeah, that was nice.
There couldn't be a more frightening television executive for real in New York than the one you gave us.
I enjoyed doing that, yeah. I did, yeah. I just come back from England doing the other
Really?
one, which I enjoyed more, doing the Watson role.
7% Solution.
Yeah, but once again, it's strange, you know, I went to a screening of the 7% Solution. Nobody had forewarned me or told me. I went in and some of the best work I did in the film was cut, and I was never told till I saw a screening with other, where he was 70 years old and telling the whole story in flashback form. So all that older stuff was cut out. I'd seen it in a screening in New York, and then by the time I went to California, it was out. So you never have, even when conditions you think are good and you can trust people, they still cut things out for whatever reasons.
But tell me something. When your history with a man like Coppola goes all the way back to the Rain People,
right,
and you and your friend Jimmy Caan are doing that extraordinary work with Shirley Knight and those actors, and then you are doing Apocalypse Now, and everybody says Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore was what that movie was all about, and you say, well, what was there was okay, but I had a scene where I put a wounded Vietnamese boy on my helicopter to send him for help that was so important, such an integral part of the story. Do you sit down with Coppola and say, Francis, why? Where's the scene?
I eventually did, but he was nuts, like, you know, the opening of the film, so why he might have gone into a tirade. It wasn't my film, it was his. We'd done it 3 years prior or whatever, so my memory had faded. And I've since brought it up and he said, well, maybe we'll put it back and we would do it for the TV version. I don't know why he cut that. As I've said before, I get the feeling, I may be wrong, I may be paranoid, but I got a feeling he was under the influence of one of his chic liberal friends in San Francisco to take that out, that it showed too good of a side to me. Now maybe I'm wrong. It showed a contradiction in this guy, that the guys can go out and kill the parents of a Viet Cong village and take a Viet Cong baby and literally put him in a helicopter to go back and be rehabilitated medically while we surf. And those things did go on. So see, people, there are contradictions in people, you know. Those things are there, the black and the whites, you know. And he cut to some reconnaissance plane or something. I don't know why he did it, you know. I didn't want to bring it up at the opening because he had so much on his mind. It's his film, it's not mine. You know, it was only something that was cut out, important not to the film maybe, as you had said, but really more important to my character, I feel, you know. And since we made a point of filming it, I don't know why it was cut out. I still don't know why.
Bob,
unless it brought too much emphasis to that big cameo or that sequence there, because they had to move on to get to the end of the film.
Were you working on Apocalypse Now when Harvey Keitel was still doing Willard?
Yes, I was. Because when they reshot everything, I got over my fear of heights and I got a little better the next time, because I was hanging out the helicopter like this instead of, you know, like eventually like this. And I was there the day I was sitting in my wonderful bamboo hooch dressing room that the Philippines so wonderfully made for us. Coppola walked by. Nobody else was around. Somehow, it's just because sometimes you'd only get 1 or 2 shots a day, and he didn't have to talk to me but I just happened to be there, and he said, "I have to make a decision here. New actor, this." And so then he went back to the States, and there was a replacement process that went on and so forth, and they reshot when they got the new guy. But I was there when Harvey was there. Yeah.
When you put your own money into a project like Angelo, My Love, and you are also the director, and you have to sit down in front of machines and edit and take out and put in, do you have a better understanding of what happened with Herbert Ross and 7% Solution? Apocalypse Now, do you say,
Yeah,
oh, now I'm a director?
I do. I have a better, true, I do have a better understanding. But maybe Ross a little bit. You know, I thought it was a better movie with it, but they thought the audience would get confused. And Apocalypse, which was just a little thing. I know what you're saying. I had a wonderful editor, Stephen Mack. He edited the Jet Set as well. And our first cut on the Gypsy movie was 4 hours and 25 minutes. And I mean, it got to be where we had the character. I actually went to Coppola and asked him to see it to give a little advice. And we had to weed it down. And, you know, they say it's painful to throw things out, but it got to be, finally, that when we say that whole segment can go, and it would be wonderful segments, there wouldn't be no pain. It would be such relief to get it from 206 to 155. It's, oh my God, at least now that it can go, you know, it got to be a relief to finally get rid of things. But at first there were pearls, you say, gems that had to be thrown out. But I do have somewhat more of an understanding that, you know, you have to make a streamline a movie somewhat. You know, it just can't go on and on and on. I thought there were things in Tender Mercies that should have been cut. I thought there were things in True Confessions that should have been cut. That it could have been a little longer movie. It wasn't that long. But maybe if I were the director, maybe I would think differently. If I were in their shoes, the way I think differently or thought differently when we edited Angelo, My Love. It is a different. You're in a different position. You're filling different shoes.
How far back do you and James Caan go?
Well, I met Jimmy Caan at a dinner party at Wayne Rogers' house years ago when he was with his first wife, and used to play touch football and so forth and so on. And then we did a film together. He said, "Come on, we'll do it with me," with Robert Altman, Countdown about the astronauts. And then I guess when they were doing The Rain People, another actor was playing the part, Rip Torn, and something happened. I don't know what happened. So they said, "Now we want somebody to take this guy's place." So Jimmy recommended me, and I came in, and I didn't know how to get along with Coppola. He was kind of a moody guy. Kind of reminded me of a guy with an all-day sucker in his mouth. He always got whatever he wanted. Kid got everything. Movie studio, a car, a Napa Valley vineyard, you know, estate. And he kept saying, "Your friend Bob, he's not doing anything." And Jimmy said, "Don't worry, he's doing plenty, you know, don't worry." So, and we kind of built up confidence and, you know, so forth. But we had great fun on that. And Jimmy and I became friends, and I would stay at his house sometimes. But lately I haven't seen him, you know. I drove up to his house once when he was doing a film back east, and I could see mud in his, he'd been a victim of that awful mudslide about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago.
When you look at a project like Killer Elite now,
Yeah.
are you pleased? Are you pleased with?
I never saw the movie.
You never saw Killer Elite?
No, the 1 or 2 movies I've never seen, it just didn't happen to get around. I heard it was okay. I never really saw the complete thing. I'm sure it wouldn't be one of my favorite movies, but I enjoyed working on it very much. A lot of fun with Jimmy and his brother and these different people. But sometimes you just don't get around to seeing a film. I probably will sometime. There have only been about 2 or 3 that I haven't seen. I usually get to see them all once at least.
Bob, do you agree with Maureen Stapleton that actors have to be clever as rats to survive?
Rats? You mean emotionally or financially? How did she mean? I mean, just overall, or?
I think the struggle, I think the more actors I meet, the more people I speak to, whether it's you, John Voight, Dustin Hoffman, whomever, and the reality that actors spend most of their lives waiting for work.
Yeah, well, in that sense, you know, I think that maybe we are like rats. I don't know if that's a good parallel, but yeah, maybe there is that thing you're always waiting. You always. I think sometimes the rat doesn't stay hungry though, when he keeps working. and that you got to stay hungry no matter how old you get. Kim Stanley once said to me, there are brilliant actors in this country, in America, from age 25 to 40, but after 40 something happens. You get hungry, you get lethargic, and I always try to remember that, you know. And some actors get better as they get older, some better. A young guy like Gene is mature. Hopefully I think I've matured, and always try to think of myself in the potential state, always trying to improve. As long as you know, whatever you're, a rat, whatever, I don't care what, as long as you stay hungry and stay willing, open to being better and improving, I think. But it is a different kind of profession. It is.
When you turned 50, were you a happy 50? Did you say, I'm 50 and things are on course?
Yeah, I think so. You know, somewhat, I said, if I could only straighten out my social life, the rest of it's okay.
I thought Gail had done that for you.
Well, I wasn't quite married then.
Oh.
I got married 6 months ago. We had a 14-month hiatus. We both went our separate ways, and after we finished filming the Gypsy movie when we were editing, but then we did get married. But when I turned 50, yeah, I felt that somebody says, are you the prime of your life, or what do they say, have you reached the pinnacle, they asked me the other day. I said, I don't know if there is a pinnacle, but I'm in my prime. There's no pinnacle maybe, but there's a prime. And I think that I feel very good about things, you know, because I'm, you know, when I was 30, my brother said, happy birthday, what's it feel like to be a 30-year-old teenage adolescent? You know, I think you know, you hang out with younger people sometimes. I welcome the welcome the opportunity to work with younger people, younger directors, if they know what they're doing, you know, and don't bluff it. So I always try to hang out with all kinds of people, young, old, but a lot of young too, because you can always learn. And so I don't want to. I want to grow old. I don't even know the word. I want to grow old. You know, I don't know the word. Not graciously, but you know.
Gracefully?
Gracefully, but open. I want to grow old, open.
And hungry.
Yeah, and a bit hungry, yeah, from the point of view of trying to do better and better work, you know. And at the moment I am hungry because I still owe myself money from the Gypsy Project. I'm trying to replenish the larder, but maybe that's okay. Maybe if I were a little bit too comfortable, I wouldn't be as much on guard as I am what's next, you know. So I feel good about where I am now, I think, in my life. Yeah.
I think that's interesting, considering that one of the first pieces of work you ever did that got you acclaim and led to movies was an important play called Call Me By My Rightful Name.
You didn't see that, did you?
No.
I don't know if it's a good play or not. I remember being in it.
Well, the theater book seemed to think it was a good play, and you were good in it.
I remember I was sleeping one time in rehearsal, and the guy's talking to me. I have a black roommate. We have a big thing because I'm a big liberal and so forth. But then he goes out with my fiancée and kind of takes her away, my girl. And then my racial thing is really tested. And I'm lying in bed there. I'm thinking in the play. And during rehearsal, I said I almost wanted to do and didn't, and maybe should have, but didn't have the nerve. I wanted to get up out of the bed during rehearsal, walk out of the theater, and just leave that project forever. I didn't really like it. I wasn't that enamored with that whole project. It was okay, but I didn't do that, obviously. Did it for 8 or 10 months, but...
What about the days and nights of being
well,
Fenstermaker?
You read my mind, I guess. That was a very pleasant experience. Although we had done a one-act version of that, which was an even better play, I thought. But they did away with that, and Bill Snyder, who was so very gifted, I think, wrote a 3-act play, or it was a 2 or 3-act play, which still was wonderful, and that was a good experience. I enjoyed working that very much.
Having studied with one of the great teachers, Sanford Meisner, is there any desire in you to teach, to sit in front of young actors and...
Absolutely none.
None?
None. None.
Well, you can do it by directing then.
Well, I want to direct because, you know, because that film, not stage, but film, interests me, you know, every few years, because so few films, not so few, there are some, I don't mean to say few, there are many old Hollywood films that have wonderful performances, and many current Hollywood films, and many current films from other countries, and past films from other countries, where you don't see very good acting. They don't really go after the real thing, or try to, you know. And that's what I think that's what's so wonderful about films, that you can. I remember I saw a film called Kess by Kenneth Loach, and I came out puzzled as to how he got the performances out of these people, using only 1 or 2 actors and a lot of real people. To me, it was maybe more real than even The Bicycle Thief, and certainly more real than what Truffaut did in film. This was this guy Kenneth Loach, and I thought that Robert Young did it in a film called Alambrista. I don't know if you've seen it in American. A beautiful film on wetbacks coming across. But anyway, and Barbara Loden, Kazan's wife, did it in a film called Wanda. Every once in a while, you see a certain spark of reality that really approximates the real thing in the best sense of the word, recreates it. And really, Kenneth Loach was kind of my model or my hero for my gypsy film. And I think we accomplished a lot of that purity, getting of that purity of behavior in the gypsy film.
Does Angelo have a falcon?
I don't know what he had. He's got a line, though. we one time took him to Majik's, and he loves to gravitate to the stars, so he went right up to Diane Carroll. So in Ilya Nastasi, when he met him, he says, "Hello, gypsy boy, I hear you're a genius." And Angelo says, "Yeah, I am," and walked away. So everything Angelo would do, Nastasi, "Oh, the gypsy boy," you know, he'd like get this biggest kick out of it. So he got out on the floor dancing with, he danced in the movie, but since then he's become like he's an amazing disco dancer, this little gypsy kid.
How old is he now?
He's 13, but he's still small. So he got out on Majik's dance floor, dancing like 4 of them in kind of a nondescript circle. It was Angelo, Diane Carroll, Nadia Comaneci, and Ilya Nastasi. They all look like sticks compared to Angelo. He was so great dancing. He's something, yeah.
The one thing we can be sure of about you as a director is that you'll never tell an actor to tense up.
No, I hardly ever use the word action when we did a gypsy film. I say, okay, go ahead, you know, rather, because very often that word action, there's a certain tension that sets in, except when there were certain obvious scenes when they run, they say, action, because they want to hear that, because, you know, people love the word action, cut, roll, you know, like play like Hollywood, but try to keep people loose, yeah, because, you know, I've been through my moments, you know, probably still do, you know, with certain directors and certain situations where that heady kind of self-consciousness, nervousness takes over and you just can't beat it.
You discussed this with Olivier?
Not too much.
Did he know on the Betsy when you were working with Dan Petrie that you used to comb your hair just like him?
No, I never did. But
you never told him?
No, but he was wonderful, because when in the Betsy, you know, which wasn't a very great film, but he was playing that guy like Henry Ford supposedly. And he had a pretty good American accent. But he's faltering, and you know, his memory falters as he gets older. And he'd be doing a scene, and he'd say, "You know, ready, go, action." And they say, "Here we are at Hardeman Manor with the Hardeman family here in Lake Michigan." "Oh, sorry, love, what's my line?" "Oh, thank you very much." "Oh, yeah, Hardeman Manor." Like you go, it's funny.
You could have done your Dr. Watson for him, Bob.
Great storyteller.
I'm sure.
Yeah, those English, they're great storytellers. Oh, boy. Yeah, sometime I'll tell you a story. He told about Olivier that was so, about Gielgud that was so funny. But they don't have time right now.
I've enjoyed being with you.
I have too. It was wonderful.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.